It's another beautiful day on Jasiri, and all I can say is today is definitely a delicious one for the ladies. Without any other saying, let's get started. Now, you know, I keep telling you that it feels like 2024 has just is racing away, running away from bill collectors. Because I
just saw that she's wearing glasses. That
one of my alter egos is in play right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I feel like 2024 is somebody running away from bill collectors because I remember January, I remember February. I'm waking up now and it is
October. I remember when we started Jasiri.
Yes.
I remember creating a Christmas playlist last year. Like, we're talking about this. I was talking about with one of my friends just last night that how is it that now I understand why older people will say, you know, make the most of your time or time is running, because we're literally saying if the year is running this much, before you know it, you're like,
you're already 35.
No, don't say like that. Why would you do that?
Why did you go there?
Why are you a hater?
Oh God.
Let the young lady enjoy her youth.
Why would
Why are
you do
you a
that to
hater?
me?
I said, but imagine when you are saying 35, what I would be saying.
Right.
But you know, funny enough, I was seeing on social media a few days, especially Instagram, all these people who used to say that I used to think 30 was old and they hit 30. I used to think 35 was old. I used to think 40 was old. Like literally 40 was like an open door to so many things for me. It meant, you know, I knew myself well, I knew what I wanted. And I really think we need to, especially for young women, yes, I understand the biological clock ticking, but in terms of career, relationships, so many other things, 20s, you're still a baby, man.
You don't know nothing.
You know
nothing.
Nothing in your 20s.
Yeah, I will say
You know
nothing.
nothing, blessings.
But don't worry, you'll soon be 35.
Why now?
I love the way you feel.
My reality for the time running past like this was yesterday when those ice cream sellers started playing what?
Dun, dun, dun.
Already.
You know ice cream sellers, ne? The ones, you know, when school starts that they stand in front of school. I heard it and I said, no, he didn't. No, he didn't do that.
He's preparing you.
He didn't do that. I listened again to be sure that, well, maybe it's not. Oh boy, he was singing jingle bells, jingle bells. You know, the instrumental of it. It now made me aware that truly
Time is going.
Yeah.
And I'm beginning to say offices are beginning to like get
Decorate.
ready. Some of them are beginning to decorate, but not light up. You know, some of those things are very
Softly.
intricate. So they're taking their time to, you know, start fixing it one after the other.
I think that this is a stark reminder for everyone. One thing that I'm trying to be more conscious of is enjoying the moment, like living in the now. Because we don't want a situation, yes, it's good to build memories, but I don't want it to just be that, oh, I remember when this happened, and I don't remember enjoying it happening. That's one thing. I want to be deliberate about enjoying Christmas, enjoying the New Year, enjoying every holiday, so that I won't just say, what was Christmas last year?
It's a Nigerian thing. This thing that you're talking about, it's a Nigerian thing.
I want to be able to remember it vividly and still remember how it felt and enjoy it. You know?
I think in Nigerians, we have this bad habit of postponing our joy. We think that there's an acceptable time in front where everything will come together. Where you think everything will come together, everything will be just all right, and you'll be able to have a perfect moment.
There is no perfect.
There is no perfect moment. All those things are myths. You need to learn how to be in your now.
And
it's just like we that are mothers. When was Coco born?
Do you understand?
Now Coco is almost at least under my hand.
Which one? She doesn't be taller than you.
That's what when I look at my boy, I'm
should
begging
call her Twiggy.
I'll be begging my son, Murewa, please smile. Like yesterday, I said, please, can you smile? Why is it that you don't smile at home? And I remember that boy.
That used
Murema
to
was
chubby. I remember he was chubby.
He was the son of my leg.
Chubby.
And the Murema would cling to my leg like, I don't want my mommy to go. Now I'm looking for space in his life, and he has not even traveled. I have friends that their children are abroad. You know, she'll be telling me that, please go. He called me yesterday. Like,
You know, for parents, if you're abroad, they say you have 18 summers. But in Nigeria, it doesn't feel like you have 18 summers because, again, you remember the conversation about kids going to university early. For many of us, you only have 16 summers.
Yes.
You have 16 years before your kids go
And
to
they
university.
fly by
And once they enter that
fast.
university, your relationship changes.
And you have to get with the program. My friend whose daughter is abroad, and I said, when last you speak to Helena? And she says, it's been a while.
They will even call you. My friends celebrate every time
because
her
she's
son.
going, she's living. She said she had to arrive at that point of recognition that her daughter has her life to live.
Yeah.
And she had to accept it, come to terms with it. We do that Nigerian mother thing that, my child, Nibo, how? I'm going to call her and shout and yell. At that time has passed.
Inside school, when I was still with my mom, I didn't understand why my older siblings would not just call home. Like, you would go weeks without talking to your mom. Now I'm trying to make deliberate efforts to, and then she'd be like, oh, God, and then
every time I calls, I have a reminder on my phone, 5 p.m. on Sunday evenings. I set a reminder, and even then, I'm just snoozing the reminder.
Exactly.
So I know by so what I try to do is in the mornings when I'm on the drive, a 30 minutes, I call her. She's prepared for that. We'll talk. I mean, we need to do better. We need to do better.
This life, you know, balance. So just yesterday were our mother's troubles. Now our children are our own troubles, and your unborn ones.
What's that?
Right. She's been touching you. I feel there's something going on. Even before the show, she started.
She wore this silky material. I was wondering why it's not mine. Why is it upon the Gen Z?
Okay. Can I push this string?
Because Tolu found me worthy, guys. Tolu gave me this beautiful
But do you know we can have a Tolu worthy dress day?
Yeah.
Where we all wear things that TAB gave us.
Hello.
She's not a fashion designer, but she's a producer.
Move on.
That's true.
Please don't let my husband hear this conversation. Move on.
Jesus. All right, so guys, this is just it's what we do, really. Interesting, easy conversation, sometimes difficult and deep, profound as well. So I came across something and I wanted to share it on the show. I know we are all open for women supporting women, but come on, there has to be a limit to that. Victoria Effiong, a 25-year-old tailor here in Lagos State, is going to court. Now, this is after her boyfriend or fiancé, depending on who's telling the story, reported her for allegedly defrauding him of 2.8 million naira under the false pretense of marriage. She was brought to the court and arraigned on Friday before Magistrate O. Ogun for cheating a suitor out of 2.8 million naira, breaching of peace, obtaining under false pretense, and for cheating after allegedly accepting substantial amounts of money from the complainant, Dominic Asukwo, a man who they believed who she believed they would soon be wed.
Okay, so more information on this. According to the prosecutor, this whole scam unfolded over the course of 7 months, with Effiong misleading Asukwo to believe that they were on the path to marriage. She also introduced him to her family as her suitor. She did all this, including receiving all sorts of gifts, cash, and other items like iPhone, clothes, accessories, daily feeding allowance in this economy of up to like 4,000 for 7 months. Now, she also once took his ATM card and allegedly withdrew 300,000 naira for shopping. You get mind. Now, in all, she received a total of 1.468 million naira from Asukwo within their dating period, all while she was planning a marriage with another man. Now, Dominic Asukwo has instituted a case stating that Victoria Effiong unlawfully cheated him by obtaining another 2.8 million naira under the pretext of agreeing to marry him, but failed to follow through with it. Wow.
Lolo, please say something in Yoruba to this thing.
Rishi. No, I dislike the fact that you ladies are laughing. This is not a laughing matter.
I know.
No, it's not a.
Has entered her.
I said she's not. I said I disappointed that you're laughing. This one is cackling again. No, it's not a laughing matter.
But do you know that
when to my mind when that was I said, so she was collecting from you, Baba. Where were you? You were present. He
was investing in his relationship.
But the
man is
this period is bad for investments. This period, economic period.
But Catherine, the man is very accurate. He kept an account.
I like that.
That's something commendable. At least when you come to come to court, you must come with adequate evidence. So that's why I should give you what the court will say.
What is the court saying?
About the state of affairs is simple under the Nigerian law. An agreement to marry is viewed as a binding legal contract. And if a party can show that there was in actual fact an existence of a promise to marry and one party reneges, then a civil claim can be made. What the Nigerian court can do is award damages to the aggrieved party when there has been a breach of promise to marry. But the aggrieved must prove first that there was in fact a promise to marry.
How's he going to do that?
Promise to marry, did you give ring?
Did
No,
write
you don't.
a petition letter?
You don't necessarily have to have a ring. The fact that she introduced him to her
Of
family
course,
as a
her
suitor,
family.
there's probably going to be WhatsApp
How many
messages
other
as
people
well.
she introduced the family as suitors? Sorry, no. Sorry.
That's multiple
finish.
suitors. Even the whole family will be roped in. The party must have reneged on the promise.
Yeah.
That means promise to marry, you'd have said it to her in one way or the other, a telephone call, a WhatsApp message, even sit down amongst friends. That means we could have sued that girl that did a
So wait.
Let's finish.
Message has been
before
tackled. I don't like
you
this.
finish. And if the aggrieved party can prove both then that he or she can bring a claim for damages. The award for damages is at the discretion of the court, and this can include damages for any financial loss, compensatory damages for injury of health, for any kind of loss. Maybe your heart failed when this thing was happening. You had a stroke. You had mental breakdown.
Your mental health was
Yes, it was
compromised.
averted. You know, there are many things. And there are lots of cases in Nigeria, especially in Lagos, on this particular subject matter. It's funny, though. When you recall some of the case law, you would really laugh.
So
I tell
please,
you.
I'm 1, 2, 3. I'm very disappointed in you people.
Yes.
Now let me
Before
wait.
you
Do
say
you know that
that.
she's in jail? She's actually in jail because the judge remanded her, even though she pleaded not guilty, and then she was granted bail of 200,000 with 2 sureties and like some. I feel like one, this should be a civil matter, not a matter in which you can actually go to jail for. But she's saying that yes, she received the iPhone. She also got a smaller phone worth 20,000 naira, money, and she even got bags and shoes and whatever worth about 350,000 as well. But she's saying that he knew she was in a relationship with somebody else. He discovered that she was planning to marry another man despite introducing him earlier to her parents who were aware of the relationship, but she denied the allegations, claiming Asuko knew she was dating someone else. This, I'm not laughing, but this reminds me of all the Iyawowa that never end up being Iyawowa.
But this one, when it happens to a woman, just once in a while, everybody starts to cry.
Exactly.
But I know how many women have been under this boss of false pretense.
And
And they sue.
Yes.
Lagos, a lot of people are taking
Yes.
advantage of this law, particularly in Lagos State. People don't know it.
There's so many things that we do not know that is actionable.
Exactly.
That's why it's good that you have knowledge of many things. So that when you're making decisions or when you're doing some things, it's just that in Africa, or Nigeria particularly, we do not like to go to court for everything. Because sometimes it's the mental stress, the dragging, the time it takes, and you know, everybody will bring out that black family thing, come and beg you here, beg you there, you shouldn't wash your dirty linens in public. But there's some of these things that really affect your heart. And I know that if we're to look at it critically, more men should be in court.
Do you know how many, if we're taking all the issues that have happened like this, if we're all taking it to court, where would it be? First that came to mind when I read this was that Baba rests.
But why?
No, hold on.
Why should he rest?
Hold on, listen.
Did she furnish sexual consideration?
Baba, rest. If we are going to table items, list of items, you yourself are on the mend. You are on the mend. If we take this conversation, for example, to X, more stories will come out. My brother, you are complaining about how much you collect from me. This one, I spend this and I spend that, and I did this and I did that.
She too should itemize now.
That's what I'm saying. The girl is saying, okay, yeah, I collected iPhone. I did that. Baba, you are not the only suitor. And roles can be reversed as well. We are talking about what the woman took from him. What did the man took from others? As in, what did the man took from others
her.
that have not seen the light
Did
of
she
day?
furnish? Did she
So
go
Baba,
to his
rest,
house? Did she
rest.
cook? Did she lay upon his
So
sofa?
when it came to
Did she do other wifely?
Did he knock on the door and the door was open?
Was open? Was he in Jerusalem regularly?
What was he
Can
doing
those
from
things be
Jericho there?
quantified as?
Then she should quantify them and counter sue.
Consideration.
So I think this is also a conversation around this issue of gifts.
Yes.
And what the gifts are intended for. Somebody
Yeah.
will give you something. Let's be honest, women, we know in the back of our minds the
I know a
people
suitor that-
who are serious about us and the ones we too want to play with.
I know a suitor that everything he gave you, he took with him while he was living.
No, that's been
like
happening
a
a lot
laptop
more.
that doesn't really work, that you have not even laid hand on. When he was to leave, he still pack it too.
So you as a
So then,
package,
is it not a gift?
Voila.
No,
Let's
because
define
let's think about the
It was supposed to be.
Let's think about the engagement ring.
feel
Let's
like
so
it's an
sorry.
investment.
Is it not a gift? Let's think about the engagement ring, because I know this has entered courts. I think even in Nigeria, that if you're breaking off an engagement, is the engagement ring a promissory note, which is to be returned if you say no, or a gift, which is to be kept if you decide? And gifts, if you give, you cannot decide what the receivee does with the gift.
Normally.
That's a really interesting conversation we should take to X. Catherine, shall thou take this thing to X? Because thou are more X compliant than moi.
Yes.
Because honestly, these are some salient points that we can
Yes, I do.
to know that is it a promissory note or is it a gift?
Because if you refuse to be,
I would think it's a promissory note.
Usually, without like in loose parlance, you return the ring. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I actually think it's a promissory note.
So
that you should return
it should be
upon thy reneging on their
And if the
contract.
person says, "Give it what?"
I'm not sure I want to return. The only kind of ring I would return, because of my moral compass, is if it's a heirloom. If it's heirloom, go back to your family. If it's not, I might keep that ring.
What are you going to do with it?
I sell it. Compensation. What are you talking about?
If he proposes to you and you refuse, and you say...
If you refuse, the ring never makes it to you.
No,
but
okay,
if the ring
so
makes it to you and you change your mind.
change your mind, you should return the ring, no?
You should return because
Why?
it's a
It feels like
promissory
fraud.
note.
It's a gift.
It's not a gift.
It feels like
It's
you
a
just
promissory
accepted to
note.
keep the ring.
Are you a thief?
That's
No,
what
you have
when you are
thieving tendencies.
35, should we rediscuss this?
We're going to go on a break.
Yeah.
Catherine?
The conversation just begun, guys.
We will
break. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Don't forget you can join the conversation via social media. We are at News Central TV. Now, Nigeria faces a crucial shortage of healthcare professionals with an alarming doctor-to-patient ratio of 1 to 2,500, far exceeding the World Health Organization's recommended 1 to 600. This strain on medical staff heightens the risk of errors, compromising patient safety. In March of this year, the Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Mohammed Pate, disclosed that about 16,000 doctors left Nigeria in the last 5 years and 17,000 have been transferred. This leaves us with only 55,000 licensed doctors to serve our growing population of over 200 million. I don't know if what I said really sunk in, so I'll repeat. 16,000 doctors have left Nigeria in the last 5 years and 17,000 have been transferred. All of us 220-something million Nigerians are sharing 55,000 licensed doctors among ourselves. But it's not just the doctors that are leaving. Medical professionals as well are also joining the train. Let's talk about promoting patient safety standards in Nigeria in the context of this exodus of trained medical professionals.
And today, Dr. Odunla Olabinto joins us to explore the practical strategies for enhancing patient safety standards and ensuring better care quality within Nigeria's overstretched healthcare system. Dr. Olabinto is the founder of the Health City. We also have Deborah Ayegbeni, choreographer, actor, and survivor of medical misdiagnosis. Ladies, please help me to welcome Dr. Olabinto.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And Deborah is joining us via Zoom as well. Deborah, welcome back
How
again.
are you?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, let's get
Thank
started.
you, Doc. Let's go straight into it. Now, we know the health practitioners themselves have started raising the alarm on the things compromising patient safety. That is an alarming figure that Tolu just gave us today. 55,000 doctors only, shared by over 200 million Nigerians. That is frightening. So let's stay with the errors that always lead to patient safety, questioning how safe patients are in the country. So there are overstretched facilities, there's shortage of workforce, there's lack of standard and effective regulation. So Doc, what would you say the impact is on Nigerians with all these? The fact that, first of all, I can't get it out of my head that we are sharing 55,000 doctors, 16,000 have left, 17,000 have been transferred. What are we doing in the, are we really playing with
We're really playing.
with our lives in this country?
I think that's the best way to describe it, that we're playing. The healthcare sector is severely underfunded, right? So, so in the national budget, so Nigeria had signed a document in the international body that at least maybe 10 to 15% of the budget would go to healthcare. I think healthcare currently gets it, if I'm right, is getting less than 3%.
Yeah.
About 3% of the entire national budget. So I'm going to pick up from what you said about, the number of doctors that we have left in the country currently. So people are leaving. People will continue to leave. Because the situation is also terrible for doctors, and I'm going to talk about the impact both on the level, on the doctors themselves, and the patients eventually. So, for example, a unit, let's say a pediatric unit that is supposed to have like 15 doctors. So pediatric department has like 5 units. They have pediatric nephrology, they have pediatric cardiology, they have general patient unit, they have like 5 units. So each unit is supposed to have like 5 or 6 doctors, if not more, especially if there are people in residency. Now you would realize that the entire department has maybe like 3 or 4 doctors.
Oh, wow.
When it's supposed to have like around 20, 25.
When there are the entire department. So, and there's no way to go about it. So doctors that are left are being overused.
Worked.
So you are a doctor, you do a weekend call, you do a 48-hour shift, you are work Saturday, Sunday, and you know what? You will resume Monday 8 a.m.
No, man.
How are you not going to make errors in diagnosing, if there's surgery, in giving medication? The human brain literally is not meant to be awake and at work as long as that.
Right, so there's a lot of reports of doctors slumping at work, doctors dying, and there's a particular doctor on Twitter, his handle is Mumtaz, and he's been, really advocating for improved work hours, that if that continues to happen, the doctors themselves would eventually die.
Oh, yes.
And then imagine if patients will go to hospital and say that the doctor is not compassionate. Of course, the patient has the right to complain and say that the doctor is not compassionate, because from the doctor's side, he's been in the hospital for 48 hours. He has not seen his family, he's not anything. And that 48 hours, if he's in a busy center, you will not sleep, right? You will be the one seeing the patient, attending to them. Weekends are usually for emergencies. God save you, there's a lot of emergencies. You want to quit. Right, so then the patient now comes and they're complaining about something that the doctor did not take their time, and the doctor is just trying to, maybe there are like 20 patients on the ward, so you're trying to get through everybody. Now the effect of that on the patients is that they don't get the quality of care that they deserve, right? At least in a consulting room, you should have a doctor to yourself, like 30 minutes, 1 hour, even in private facilities in Lagos or in Nigeria. Patients expect that when they go to see the doctor listens to you, takes their time. They give you back feedback. They tell you, this is what I think is happening. These are the tests you would do. This is the impact. They explain your situation to you. You understand what is happening. But in the case when, the doctor is overworked, they just want to quickly get through everything. You're not saying, doctor, why did you give me this drug? They'll tell you, if you like, don't use it.
Yeah.
So for patients too, it becomes a problem. They don't trust the healthcare system. Right? They don't want to go to the hospitals. A lot of people will say that they will never near some certain tertiary hospitals in this country, because they know how the staff treats patients. And the problem is from, should I say, it's from ground up, right? Of course, when we now address the problem of staff being overworked, then we can now talk about attitude issues, right?
So that also means that when we address this problem, we would have to address the question I'm about to ask. But I'll ask it all the same, because I'm even feeling bad that I want to ask this question. So all of these things that you've mentioned is also one of the, because with all of this, there's a higher chance of misdiagnosis, right? Because the doctors are glossing over the details. Oh, you said you had a headache. They don't have time to be saying, oh, did you say one part of your spine is paining you? No, the headache is the first thing they heard, and then they'll run with it. But with all of that, we're still seeing cases of misdiagnosis, and it's still leading to, people losing their lives. And we'll come to Debbie. We've heard Debbie's story, right? So my question is there no maybe agency that is supposed to monitor all of these things? Again, I feel bad for asking, because they're even understaffed and all. So and how do the patients themselves report this? So you're going to answer that question. Don't forget the question. But we want to go on a very short break. When we come back, we'll continue from there. About medical misdiagnosis and basically everything happening in the health sector. And we still have Dr. Olabito and we have Debbie. And before we went on break, Dr. Olabito, I was asking a question that, is there no medical body that is put in charge of, monitoring diagnosis so as to ensure that people are not misdiagnosed? Because we see a lot of that. And the reason we don't even have the actual numbers is because a lot of people just let it go. They don't want to go to court. We're talking about going to court and fighting over and over again, So is there nobody that is in charge of that, and how do patients report, the doctors?
So in cases of medical misdiagnosis, there are bodies that are in charge. So each medical professional has their own regulatory body. For doctors now is the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. They're responsible for setting our curriculum, giving you your license, sanctioning misdemeanors and whatnot. But in cases of so it's also a matter of patients knowing their rights and also being able to complain. So each hospital is supposed to have a reporting system, right? Where there should be like a patient safety team, where the patient can go and report, let me say like an HR kind
almost
of thing.
like a desk.
Yeah, almost like a complaint desk where you are able to lay your complaints. So at that point, if that doesn't work, you send a letter to MDCN, right? You write the details of what happened, you enclose the person's name and what you think has happened, and they would launch an investigation. Same for nurses. They have a nursing and midwifery council. Everybody has their own body that you can report cases to. Yes, we are severely understaffed. Yes, mistakes happen, but if we don't report them, reporting in the sense that justice should be served in cases where justice needs to be served. Also reporting so those errors don't happen again. Right? There's a problem of underreporting because patients just don't want to go through the stress of maybe what will happen if I report. And there's also on the medical doctor's part that maybe it will lead to them maybe losing their license or whatever. And there's also on the part of the healthcare facility, they don't have enough staff already. Then saying that somewhere there's a tendency to bury issues, right? But everybody has like a system for reporting. It's just a matter of going online, finding MDCNs.
I like how you say they're supposed to be, but are they really functioning?
So I'll be honest, I know I have read a few stories in which the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria has stricken a doctor from its register and the doctor has faced further legal action, maybe made to pay compensation, but it just feels few and far between in the context of the errors we're talking about. But I want to bring Deborah into this conversation now. We spoke about the fact that it often feels like Nigerian doctors and healthcare professionals cannot be questioned. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. You'll want to say, doctor, what's this thing you wrote for me? You'll want to query some of the things in terms of diagnosis, not even necessarily query, but even just seeking to get clarity on why this diagnosis, why they think this diagnosis, why it's this course of treatment, but you always end up getting pushed back. In terms of your own experience, what questions do you think patients should ask their healthcare providers when it comes to these issues? We shouldn't just sit in front of them, take that paper, take it to the pharmacy and move on. We also need to take some bit of responsibility as well.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity, Kate. And to answer this question, I think the first question is to us the thing I would say from my own experience is that this thing is actually a trauma, right? And not all patients most of the time are able to come out of that space of how they used to be and their new reality, right? So sometimes it's easy to say, okay, they are supposed to ask these questions, they are supposed to do this, they are supposed to do that. Sometimes you don't even know what to do, really. You don't even know what to do. You don't know how to even speak. You don't even know how to question. Because especially in a system in Nigeria whereby you have situations where, people, the doctors or the nurses are just doing their job. Maybe they see that they are doing you a favor. That's the way they act. So how do you even want to question them? Do you understand? I don't want to really want us to go into the question, but it's to really take a pause first to say, okay, do these patients actually even have the mind to speak, right? Do they even have the guts to be bold enough to question the doctors to say, okay, why is it? Because for me, it was sudden. Really, it was really sudden, something you didn't plan of. And I must say, I don't know if I
Deborah.
I don't know if I Yes, please.
Let me just put it together for you. Maybe we should just make the targeted question. Like, okay, we know that you did have an experience and the aftermath of your misdiagnosis. What decision did you make at that time that you discovered that you were misdiagnosed? And at that time, were you open to reporting the situation? What did you choose to do? And why did you choose what you chose? So that will just help you to be able to add all the questions and the answers together.
It still boils down to what I'm saying, and I'm trying to speak experientially, right? To say that, okay, even coming back to the fact that, okay, the deed has been done, you don't even know what to ask, really. It's like the question is just why. Do you understand? Truthfully, the question is why. What happened? Is it that you people didn't know what you're supposed to do or whatever it is? And I think for me, I was just being more careful, more observant, because sincerely, I must say I don't even know the right words to put to say, okay, these are the questions to ask and these are the specifics to say, because initially for me, I would say that there were a series of diagnoses, right, that I got, which at the end of the day, they said it was not true. So if I wanted to ask a question, even at that point, how am I sure that they will give me the right responses? Do you understand? So I think for patients in this situation is to first of all know, like, probably do a research on yourself, on what happened and what they told you. Maybe they told you it was malaria and it ended up being a typhoid, and just ask those things, have like an idea of it, probably just make researches and ask questions too. And so it's going to also really help to know the kind of questions to come at with the doctors, because trust me, I asked questions. There was a particular medication, just to put in context, which I got, and I asked them that why this particular medication, to what effect is it going to put, because I've already complained of something and I didn't really get the result. And the response from the doctor she didn't say anything. Do you understand? And for me, I was like, okay, it puts you in that state of confusion. Yes. Do you understand? So I just want to really say truthfully that sometimes we don't really know the right questions to ask. Okay. Trust me, it's just from the place of as you grow, as you make researches, as the information keeps coming from every materials gathered from researches and from what the doctor to say now can say, okay.
Thank you. This thing she's saying, I just want to ask you, because she's saying that now it's on you to research. Yeah. And sometimes they tell you Google is your enemy.
No, doctors don't like it when you come to them. When you research,
and
you Googled, right?
And you Google, they say Google is not your doctor. But now, if you are to go to a doctor, I read of a newspaper story. I can't remember if it's in the Punch, one of these newspapers, about a woman that tried to sue a hospital for forgetting
it's recent,
medical instruments inside her. Yeah. And she had to go through series of surgeries to be able to go. So now, is it on us, patients, to do research? I said, no, I told you I had a headache and that might be Alzheimer's.
It's almost like the patient is helping the doctor do their work.
To do their work. Is that what it should be now?
I think it's two ways. I want to say that as a patient, you need to understand what your rights are. So I want to say this, that as a human being, not even as when you're sick, you need to understand your body. Right? So I was in a panel where we're talking about women's health, and one of the panelists said that your body is you literally have only one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? You literally have only one. So if you don't understand how your body works, for example, like a woman now, you don't know your menstrual cycle. You don't know, like, your menstrual cycle can be 21 to 35 days. I think these are just basics that everyone should be educated about. Knowing your body will also help you with your doctor. Now, the doctor would try in their space to explain your condition to you. You know what I do? I tell a patient that you have hypertension, right? A lot of people don't like to hear it. And I'll tell them that, do you have anybody in your family? Because hypertension is really familial. Talk to them. Let them explain what they've been through to you. Also look it up online. Read it. Because even me as a doctor, I'm just an island of knowledge now. The knowledge I got it from medical school. Only that my knowledge is tailored, right? I know what I'm saying. I got professional knowledge. So I feel like, yes, your doctor will explain to you. Do research on your own too. And if you have questions, ask, right? It's not a matter of, doctor, I saw this on Google. They said I have this. I have to know, doctor, I saw this online. Do you think, is this right?
But people
is this
are
wrong?
asking. She talked about the fact that she asked, and it seems like the feedback, the response, is a pushback. And this is why I want us to go into a patient bill of rights. I'll quickly ask you, Deborah, did you ever hear before that there was a patient bill of rights in Nigeria? Just yes or no?
No.
No, that is an issue, because when you were here last time, we just started on that conversation, and so there's three parts to it. That's the patient's rights, the patient's responsibilities, and then the healthcare provider's responsibilities. Let's start with the rights and responsibilities of patients. What's the main takeaway from that? There are a lot of Nigerians who are watching us now that do not know that they have rights and responsibilities, and it's something that the medical sector in Nigeria has actually done on behalf of patients. So what are some of the main takeaways from the rights of patients and the responsibilities of patients before we get to the healthcare providers' responsibilities?
Okay, Nigeria enacted the Patient Bill of Rights very much recently. It states the rights that you as a patient... How recently? Maybe like 2 years. It's not, I think it was 2023 actually. Okay. So, but of course, all over the world, patients have always had rights.
Yes.
Whether they know about it or don't is a different conversation.
But the rights are there.
Yes. A body like N2.8 or the bodies or like a farmer now in Lagos, it should be mandatory for hospitals to have it, to hang it.
As you're opening the door, it should be the first thing you're seeing.
Yes.
It should be in every single doctor's office.
So, you know, the thing is that the bodies in charge too, they have to do their work as much as doctors. As a doctor, you're employed by the state to discharge your duties as a medical professional. Now, the people in charge that are, let me say the CMD, the people that are in charge of your hospital that run the admin and day-to-day are also the ones that are supposed to ensure that patients know their rights, right? So the Patient Bill of Rights is both to protect patients and doctors, in my own opinion, more to the patients than to the doctors. But as a patient, you need to know your rights. You have so the right is espoused in like 12 points.
Yes.
You have access. You have a right to access healthcare. You have a right to confidentiality. You have a right to informed consent. Right. You have a right to ask questions. Right. You have a right to refuse care. I don't want this doctor. There's no two ways about it. I don't want this doctor. Get me another one. If there's the problem with that. Of course, there's a problem with that.
At this point, there's even a limited number of doctors.
Exactly. You don't want this one, do you want another appointment?
There's a problem, but the Bill of Rights are there, and every patient to know. So the onus is on us as both healthcare professionals, individuals, media bodies, and also the management companies, like to tell, to educate. What we can do now is continue to educate. So if you know your rights, it would less likely that it will be trampled on. For example, now, so one of the specialties that I like the most, that I'm most careful when it comes to management, actually in the hospital where I trained, is obstetrics and gynecology, right? I don't know if you guys know it, but they're the most sued globally. Yeah.
Wow. It's the most delicate also, and then pediatrics, I think, and cardiology and neurosurgery.
They are the most sued, right? So in the team where I worked, informed consent is a big deal. They will sit you down like this and explain everything that you want to have a surgery. Maybe, you know, a woman has preeclampsia and she's about to, preeclampsia is hypertension in pregnancy, and she's about to tilt into eclampsia, which is when she has a fit. And once a woman has a fit, the likelihood that she would die is high. But you can't just carry the woman and say, let's go and remove your baby because you're about to die. You have to sit, because if you end up removing a baby without informed consent, you know, it becomes a problem. Now, that is in a delicate situation, but that should not only play in that situation, it should play
from the beginning to the end.
You have a patient that said they don't want injection. They don't want injection. They don't
Give
want
them.
injection.
There's somebody I knew, she was having a baby and she had fibroids. The doctor took it upon himself to take the baby out and took the fibroids out also.
Yeah.
And they sued him because she lost a lot of blood. Because they said medically, if you are built to deliver a baby, fibroid is not your forte.
Yeah.
But the guy was saying like, oh, he didn't want the
Just
woman
wants
to
to
be
help.
opened up 2 times. And he lost.
You will
In
lose.
court.
So even I've seen it before when doctors are operating and they bring out the uterus when you want to do it and you see fibroids there. And he said, did someone take an informed consent from this woman to see if she wants a myomectomy too? Nobody puts your uterus back and close it.
So let me follow up with that, because we can focus on informed consent, right to privacy, right to refusal of treatment, right to say I don't want this doctor, I don't want this course of treatment. But what about the healthcare provider's responsibilities as well? Because if I'm walking into your healthcare center and I don't see a Bill of Rights, that's already an X on you being responsible.
Yeah.
If I go to a doctor and one of your doctors is telling me, Madam, this is what we're going to do and that's it, that's an X on your responsibility. So let's focus also on the responsibilities of the healthcare providers so people can be informed as to what should be the ideal. We know we don't always work in the ideal, but let's know what the ideal should be.
Yeah. So it's the duty of the healthcare professional healthcare provider and professionals to fulfill what is obtainable in the patient bill of rights. Right? It's their duty, the healthcare providers, to inform you that you even have rights
Do
to
they
begin
know
with.
these duties though?
No, even some of the healthcare providers don't know patient have
So
rights.
then what are we talking about?
The problem is, for lack of better word, Olofa. It's from. So it's a
generational. It comes from way back.
It's a multidisciplinary problem, right? So, for example, now medical curriculum is constantly being updated. I think it's one of the only curriculums in Nigeria that you find that has that turnover. So when I was in medical school, ethics was a big deal, right? It still is. When they're teaching you ethics, justice, non-malfeasance, beneficence, how to treat your patient, right?
First do no harm.
First, all those things, right? But you would also find that as new policies are coming up and as you've left medical school, your access to those new policies becomes
Limited.
Well, it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, so when government create policies, they're supposed to implement them, right? Implementation also can involve education, like in case where they make a second national orientation agency to do adverts. But you find out that they don't do that.
Please don't talk about the NOA. Deborah, I want to come back to you. Don't talk about the NOA. That's they know this. That is my personal pet peeve agency. But Deborah, I want to come back to you. You're hearing what Dr. Olabintan has said. Patients don't know that they have rights and responsibilities. Some healthcare providers don't even understand the fact that they also have their own responsibilities. And nobody is doing the education or the educating for all the parties involved. What's your response to all of this? Because it seems like we're shooting in the dark. Patients are putting their hands in the lives of doctors who are sometimes, after working 48 hours, how are you not going to have a situation of medical error? And it's not to say that's an excuse, but we're creating the problems for ourselves.
Okay, to respond to that and to just bring a context to that, and while the doctor was saying, okay, there's a Bill of Rights and all of those things, I understand that now, but in the government hospitals, because I was in the government hospital as at that time, and I particularly said that I didn't want a certain nurse to come, or because of what I observed from her and everything. And I was almost flagged out, like they called me names, they try to want to say that I'm trying to be difficult. Do you understand? And this is me responding to what you said, that, okay, you should question, you should, you're right to do this thing. And I'm saying that practically in Lagos, Nigeria, in the government hospitals we have now, do they really do this education to people, right? Do they have these talks, these things? I try to do that probably with a circle of friends and conversations I meet with groups of people and all of that. But the average Nigerian that doesn't even really know about the social media in the government hospital, especially, because that's where I was admitted. Are these people actually there? That's my own question now, because saying that to refuse, you have the right to refuse not being treated and all of this. I get it. I tried it. I actually even said it because of the pain I was going through as at that time. And really, they said I was being difficult. So my question now is that, okay, I'm sure that there are some people too now trying to, be in this state, but I don't know if some of the healthcare professionals even know about this thing now, presently, like in this time. So this is my response to it. So I don't know if this makes sense, but yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I'm glad she even asked that question, because it was also part of what I wanted to ask about technology, telemedicine, outlined by the National Health ICT Strategic Framework. Because this thing she said now, it's one thing for someone to know they're right? I'm trying to cast my mind back. There are very few hospitals that I have entered that actually have surveillance, right? Where you can actually prove that now we're focusing majorly on, okay, written agreements, signed agreements, but how about the disagreements you had with the nurse because you didn't want her? They can just do a parapol society and say, it's true, she's stubborn. Yes. And then you can't prove it. So what she's saying is actually very valid. How do you go about it when you actually, not like you even knowingly did it, but you know that this is not right? You may not know you're right, but you're saying, I don't want this nurse, she's not being considerate. Yeah. So what do you do when they're like, let's sit down there, if you don't want treatment, walk out?
They say that.
We're down to our last. So sorry.
That,
you had to show it last time. Very quickly,
you are
please.
being difficult. You are being why you being, and they always say that you are being difficult.
Are you the first one?
Am I the first one to? Well, you don't know why. Hey,
she shared the story off air. She's not ready now. But Dr. Olabinto, we have just 1 minute. When we combine all that, is technology the way? Is telemedicine going to be a way out of it? What are the immediate steps? Because as we say right now, there are people in hospitals in Nigeria that don't know that they have a right to refuse treatment, to refuse a doctor. They don't know they can advocate. I think that's the biggest word. Advocate for themselves. Yeah.
So when they do that, they now say you're difficult, and then they look at you like, that's why I say, do they know their duties? Caregivers, health givers, do they know their duties? Because sometimes you say these things and they look at you like, what's this one say?
You're speaking English.
And then you're not ready. All those kind of talk, and that's not what we need.
So I agree with what Deborah said, that in most cases when patients complain about the level of care offered to them, they are sometimes being tagged as being difficult, right? But you will not let that stop you from still demanding your right? So the thing is that I think even that behavior obtains not just in the healthcare space. It can even be in the transport space where you are trying to enter a cab and you're arguing with the conductor or something like that, and they're like, are you the only one in the bus? Like stop saying things like that. And same thing in healthcare, but it's more delicate because it's your life, it's your body. Yes. So even if you get refuted or told that you're stubborn, as long as you believe you know what you're talking about and you feel like you're being underserved, please continue to hammer on, talk to people, escalate. So I think the fear of Nigerians is the fear of escalation, that maybe nothing will happen, but you won't know until you try, right? So continue to escalate. Someone comes, a senior, so most people don't know the hierarchy of doctors in the hospital. Each doctor, if it's a teaching hospital, they belong in teams, with the consultant being the most senior person on the team. So most consultants, they don't like their patient being treated badly. If it's a doctor, for example, you can find out who the consultant on the team is, and then report them. If the consultant is not doing well, CMAC, if not CMD, if not CMD, MDCN.
Keep going.
So you keep going.
That's assuming that people even know the hierarchy.
That's the thing. So it boils down to what Lolo was saying, that you have to do your research and find out for your own self, for your own safety. Thank you, Dr. Olabinto. Thank you for... Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
Thank you for being our guest on Jasiri once again. It's an absolute pleasure. Guys, thank you for sticking with us. We were talking about patient safety. And Deborah, thank you so much for being strong, for being a survivor, and for forging on. We will not stop, we will not relent. This is Jasiri. Thank you for being a part of us today and tomorrow and always. We are going before they drive us.